Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of the Somerset Hills. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. This meeting of the Board of Education of the Somerset Hills, at which time formal action may be taken. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just roll call, say all present.
All present. I never put there. We just came out of executive session where we discussed student matters. We did personnel and litigation. Do we have any correspondence?
None other than the anonymous correspondence that was in your board packets.
Correct.
Or that you received, I'm sorry, in the separate file.
The separate file received. Next report of the superintendent.
And my resignation.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Resignation letter.
yes. And the letter from Mrs. Coons that's in front of you.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you can't wait to get that in. Make sure you know that, make sure it's on the record.
Okay.
Do you want that in the official minute?
It has to be.
She'll be reading them now to correct us.
Anyway.
And the letter of resignation from Mrs. Coons, which we're going to discuss later.
Right.
Yes.
The report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. The report of the superintendent, we just came out of the non-tenure summaries for staff renewal, and with that in the background, I would like to make public the U.S. News and World Report releasing their 2016 high school rankings, and Berners High School received their second consecutive gold medal for being one of the top 500 schools in the United States. We were actually ranked number 322 in the U.S., and I believe it's moved up about 52 places from last year. We were also ranked number 18 in New Jersey. However, 11 of the schools ahead of us have selection criteria, and so they're either private schools or public schools that are magnet schools with selection criteria. So we appreciate the support of the Board of Education in helping Berners High reach the goal of not only a gold medal, but also achieving everything that we had set out to do in terms of our curriculum, in terms of our AP, in terms of our placing of all students post-secondary. But it's not just, and I said this last year, and I want to echo it this year, you know, it's not a high school award. It's an award for all of us in the district, because they don't come to the high school with the gold medal. They have to learn to read. So we know that it starts at Bedwell and those teachers over there setting the foundation. And Bedminster. Sorry.
Well, you're not gonna let anything get
Well, she's now they
Well,
do that.
yes, Bedminster, right, Bedminster and Bedwell and the middle, what's that?
Middle school.
Yes, and I was getting to, I have a lot of numbers tonight. And the middle school in terms of working not only with content and, you know, raising the bar there, but also getting the kids through those tough middle school adolescent years. And I would be remiss if I didn't also thank Jennifer for the wonderful professional development and constantly working with our teachers and our staff to look for the most innovative professional development and always trying to be on the cutting edge and working with teachers and our staff to do that. So it really is a district-wide award and a district-wide gold medal. And also thank you to the board for supporting all of that, for supporting the changes that have occurred over the last few years in terms of how We evaluate instruction, the professional development that we provide for instruction, and really being on board because, you know, you never know when something starts out if it's going to be successful or not. And we really do have to thank you for standing behind us and working with us because, you know, a lot of people didn't like when we first started and it was unfair and it wasn't this, but we really raised the bar, we really set the standards and try to work with people in achieving those standards and talking about how proud we are of our standards and of our environment. So we really feel that the award from U.S. News and World Report is a K-12 report. And unfortunately, you know, the teachers at Bedminster and also at Bedwell and the middle school don't get those types of awards because, you know, we all know that high schools are the flagships, but you can't have the flagship without everybody in the dinghies. You know?
Foundation.
What's that?
Foundation.
The foundation, and we know that, so we say thank you to everybody that is involved, and I won't mention that we're ahead of you know who. So, finally, yes,
So,
okay.
Oh, we were?
You know,
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yes, yes,
Woohoo!
yeah, yeah.
Take them down.
Right?
So, being on the flip side, being a teacher, you know, it really is nice to hear you thank the board and all the supports that you have. And, you know, I've been watching since I've been 21 years old being in this school with a husband who's been inundated and just loves this district. And honestly, I might be biased, but I know we do deserve it, you know, and
Absolutely.
we do. And these teachers are remarkable, and I sat here for the first time on the other end of the spectrum, hearing the principals and the administrators talk about the teachers. And one of you had said, you know, the glowing reports, and that had, you know, and you know, it speaks the truth, and we see it daily, and sometimes we take it for granted what goes on in the classrooms, you know. And I sit here proudly, you know. I didn't honestly think I would win to be sitting here, and I'm so thankful that PPAC Gladstone has me sitting here to enjoy this honor. So, especially since I came out.
Yeah,
So,
but it
yeah,
truly was. It was a
really
K
neat.
to 12. And on that note, actually, Mindy, we are also recognizing Michael Hoppy.
Oh, can I say for this?
Not the student, the
Oh, I
administrator received his certified athletic administration certification from the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, which is quite an honor because it's a national honor. So congratulations to him.
He did that on his own. I had no idea he was even doing it.
So,
That was, he
you
didn't want
can
to
tell
tell
we
anyone.
recognized
And
him
he didn't even
tonight.
want to tell anyone. Of
well,
course,
we
being
found
a
out,
Cindy.
so we're recognizing him.
Had to tell everybody because
Yeah, and it wasn't you that told us. So, and lastly, on Sunday, we had the Wall of Honor induction, and I just want to say that, on a selfish note, that that's my favorite adult activity to go to. I mean, it's really inspiring, and it's our graduates and or our teachers or former administrators that are inducted into that, and we've really had some people who have had an impact on the world, and you just really, if you get a chance, it's not very long, but you should really think about attending it because you come out of there going, wow.
where is it?
And it's right here, and it's just so fabulous. And it was jammed. I mean, the parking lot was absolutely filled. But we have graduated some remarkable individuals who have really made a mark in the world, and also some of our former teachers and administrators. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And I don't know how else to say it. So Greg was there, and he and I actually agree on that. So we
Did you vote yes, Greg?
Would you be kind enough, I didn't read the newspaper, but were there 6 inductees?
Oh, thank you for that segue, because we thought that it might be nice to show you the video from the induction.
Wait, I'm going to ask you a question.
Hang on. Go ahead.
Was that taped? Is that something that can be put up on?
Oh, it's
on our-
already on the
on
website,
the
Greg.
website? The whole thing, or just this clip?
This,
Just this clip?
yeah.
I think
I haven't looked for the
The
whole
whole thing
thing.
was on, I think it's,
It
because
might
the
be.
speeches were,
I'll have to
very
look, but
eloquent, they were.
I wanted this, so I just cut it off at this, but I'll check.
I think that would be, you know,
Yeah, it's
more.
really a nice thing.
That would be
Yeah.
great for people
Yeah.
to listen to.
Yeah, but it was
I'll
Yes,
check.
it was.
a lot of fun to listen to.
And it's our choir singing. So if you get a chance, you might want to come to that because you come out of there going, wow, because there's some truly inspiring people. And this year, people came from all over the place. I mean, Mark Wetmore has been the NCAA long distance coach of the year, track coach of the year 10 times in the NCAA. And I was just telling Donna that he brought his letter jacket from when he coached here, which means it meant something.
No, when
to
he
him.
went here.
When he went here, sorry, when he went here,
1971.
he had his jacket, so he brought it, yeah, and it's so, I mean, you know, people came from Colorado, from Ohio, from, you know, all over the place, Florida, Connecticut, so they actually came with their families, and it was really such a wonderful tribute, so.
Can
Very,
I just
very
have
nice.
one comment? Because I was raised with the opportunity to sit on the board that got to choose. When we first started and having been the board president, I was able to sit as one of the members. And 2 kids from our student government get to sit on that. And every year it's different because student government, the class, they're from the senior class. And I have to say, I was so impressed with our students and how respectful, introspective, and thoughtful they are in being part of that judgment. I just wanted to share that because I think you guys need to be really, really proud of our students, that it doesn't come with haste and they don't take it lightly. It's really serious for them. And they're extremely thoughtful. And you know that's a learned behavior. Like, they're taught that in our school. And so to see them act as mature adults in a setting with mature adults, not me, of course, but the rest of the room, they did just such a beautiful job. And you should be proud of the kids. Like, honestly, they're just amazing.
So with that, we'd like to we can't thank Paula Gray enough because she really is the force behind
Yeah.
this, working with the student council because the students actually do the work and Paula oversees everything. And of course, Scott oversees the larger operation, but it's really something to be quite proud of and the students really
And
like
it was their
it.
thought.
Yeah.
This is how it really
Yeah.
came from them.
Yes,
They
it did. It
implemented
did
this
come from
whole
them.
concept, so.
Yeah,
really
so it's a
have to be
beautiful
proud of
thing.
them.
So, okay, that's it.
That's it. Next on the agenda is the public hearings for the 3 contracts which we're amending for the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and the business administrator. All board members received a copy of that, of the contracts in their packet. If anybody from the public wants to see the contract, I'll just go over some of the changes real quickly. These are to pretty much mirror what the Teachers Association got and the Administrators Association got. We're adding 2 extra floating holidays and 2 family illness days. And we're giving the assistant superintendent a 2% raise, and we're giving the business administrator a 2% raise, and the superintendent is changing her contract to give us only 90 days notice if she wants to retire. So I will open it up for anybody from the public who has questions or wants to see the contracts. Seeing none, I'll ask any board members. Any board members have any questions?
For discussion, or just, discussion will come when we make a motion to approve?
We need to do a roll call for each one, right?
But,
Will there be discussion on each one, or will there?
Right.
Do you need a motion?
I'm going to have to make 3 motions. So the first one, I will make a motion to approve the superintendent's contracts as amended.
I'll second.
Second. We'll do discussion on each one. Anybody have any questions? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yep.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
I'll make a motion for approval of the amended contract for the assistant superintendent. Just so everybody knows, this is for the year that we're in, not going forward. It's the year that we're in. Do I have a second on that? Second, okay. Any discussion on the assistant superintendent?
Discussion, yeah. I will be voting no on this, not for any personal reasons, but philosophical differences. I've shared those with the board privately. It has to do with certain parts of the contract, it has nothing to do with their performance. But I very much disagree with a certain aspect of the contract, so I will be voting no.
Anybody else? Roll call?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
No.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Abstain.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
No.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Mrs. Getz? Ms. Getz?
Yes.
I'll make a motion for approving the amended contractor for the business administrator for the current year. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion. I will be voting no on this for similar reasons. I think we have standards in the district, and one specific standard that existed here is not followed, in my opinion, throughout the entire district, and we're treating people differently. And again, I've made my feelings known. I will be voting no on this. Nothing personal, nothing having to do with anything of performance. Quite the contrary. But those are my feelings.
Anybody else? Roll call?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
No.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Abstain.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
No.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
At this time, we'll have public comments and questions on anything that's on the agenda. Does anybody from the public have any questions on what's on the agenda? You'll have time to questions that are not on the agenda at the end of the meeting. Seeing none, we'll do approval of the minutes of the March 16th.
So moved.
Any discussion on the minutes?
Second.
I'm sorry. Any discussion or comments on the minutes? Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
And we'll do them separate, right? This is just
Right.
March 16th.
Okay,
Okay.
right, yeah, we have to do separate.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
I'm sorry, may I ask a question? We're doing the minutes from,
March
The
16th.
first one, Mindy, this number one. We're not doing the one for two, we're gonna do the separate motion, right? Yes.
okay. Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yep.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Abstain.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
I can't remember if I was present.
No, you weren't.
You were.
Yes.
No, you abstained.
Abstain.
You abstained. You weren't present.
I was not.
Yeah, but you
You have to abstain
Yeah,
to approve it.
that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know, something's in the air.
I know, whatever they're drinking, I don't want it.
We're going to do approval of the minutes for the April 6th meeting, which is a special meeting, and as you see, we're voting to part of that meeting. We did other things, but there's three things that we're upholding, HIB determinations, disciplined by the superintendent for the three students involved. So I need
I make a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
I have a question, I'm sorry. So does that mean that we're discussing A, B, and C within that approval?
Yes, it's one
That would
motion.
encompass that whole thing?
Right, it's going to.
Okay.
What is this?
This is for the, well, page.
So we would have to take into account A, B, and C.
So there's A, that's the first student, B was the second student, and C is the
Right,
third.
we're going to approve the minutes.
Okay.
We're approving the minutes and the resolution that's stated there, which is upholding, basically.
Right, everything that's in the resolution.
Right.
So, roll call.
Just a point of clarification, if anybody wants A, B, and C broken out, you know, if you're voting differently on any of them, just let me know and we'll make that correction. So let me just, I just want to make sure I have this right. Because it's, excuse me one second. Okay. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
No.
Mrs. Lees?
Abstain.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Abstain.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
And Ms. Getz?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
Okay. The next point on the agenda is the Finance Committee. Finance Committee hasn't met since the last Board of Education meeting on March 16th. The business office been preparing all the budgets, and we're going to do a budget hearing, which is required by the law. So anybody from the public would like to see the PowerPoint that we showed last time, we can show it again. It will be on the website. We don't want to waste time. If no, we've all seen it, you can all see it, and I think most of you were here. I think Jake was here. And so if nobody wants to see the PowerPoint, we can certainly answer any questions about the budget. That's the purpose, is a chance for the public to give input on things on the budget. So is there anybody who wants to make a comment or ask a question? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and we're going to do a vote on that.
Yep. No, you can do all finance together.
Okay, you all open the thing, okay. So I need a motion to do resolutions 1 through 1 through 16, yes. And there's nothing on the addendum. Okay, so done.
Bob moved, okay, and Don
Second.
seconded.
I have a second. Are there any questions? I have a few comments. The big comment, if you turn to resolution number 11, on the healthcare rate increases, which affects everybody in the school district and the taxpayers, we were able to get a 5% increase, which is on the healthcare, which is remarkable. So I applaud everybody who worked on that. A lot of that is driven by claims history, but because we're in a larger group of Atlantic Health, AmeriHealth, I'm sorry, we got a good rate. In the dental, that went up 9.3 for the first one, and it only went up 1.6 for the second one. So those are very good rates. And I think that's the only major item. Other than our school budget, I think we've done a great job keeping it at 2%. Compared to other schools that I've read around us, we're struggling to hit the 2% cap. So hats off to everybody who's worked on that. That's it's a wonderful thing to achieve.
I just want to make one comment on
Sure.
number 6. We have a check donation of
Oh, right.
$1,865. And we're extremely grateful for that donation, but I just wanted to add really quickly, I was fortunate to be involved in a meeting with them on Friday with our administrators and another board member who is our representative. And I have to say, I'm really proud to have an organization like theirs with the enthusiasm that comes from their leadership to be a part of our school system and to have the willingness to continue to fundraise even in these tough economic times. And they know that the funds aren't flowing like they used to, but their spirit and their enthusiasm remains just as strong as it did when it was flowing, as as if there was no faucet off button. And they're really working hard to try to make money for us and support things. Right now their focus, because they don't have much funds, is on the arts. Julie, you should be really happy about that. In a great way, and they're really trying to get each building to look at it from different perspectives, and they do need volunteers, so if anybody who's not here and sees it on TV and has any interest in doing some volunteer work, consider joining their organization and giving them the help that they need to achieve their goals too, because these women are really dedicated and they care about what they do and what the school district does. So just a little appeal for that.
They were here. They were here at our last meeting to present the $11,000 check. We just didn't have it as an
Right.
approval. So, and I know she told us about where it's going to, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
That was
it's
wonderful.
definitely in the arts, so
Oh.
Julie, you'll be real happy about that.
Okay. Then we also want to discuss, just talk about resolution number 15.
I just want to explain to the board and public, this is a new thing for us. It's a semi-Medicaid program. A lot of districts have been already doing this for many years. It is a very expensive program to implement. What it is that there are students that have both special needs and are considered free and reduced lunch. There is a huge process that has to be followed with this public consulting group, where you apply for this Medicaid reimbursement for that portion of their services that could be considered to be Medicaid eligible. So there will be money coming back to the district, which is good news. Some districts our size have said that it costs more to implement this program than it does when you finally get what you receive back. So that's to be determined, but we don't have a choice. Once you reach a certain level of students that are in this category of being both special needs and Medicaid eligible, you must participate in the semi-program. So I'm just calling your attention to it because you're going to see there's a number of resolutions. It's a very, like many federal programs, there's a lot of red tape. So you'll see more and more resolutions, and Teresa Vaught and I are working on getting this implemented, so just wanted to let you all know. That's it.
I have a quick budget question, Nancy, about the tax levy for the different towns. I know it's a proportion of valuation in students. What was that? I know it's 90-something%.
95 property and 5%. 95 enrollment, 5% property.
Students. And 5% is the evaluation of
The properties.
property evaluation.
Yes.
Now, if the evaluations go up, how does that affect the tax levy, or if the valuation goes down, how does that affect the tax levy?
If the valuation goes up, then the tax levy would decrease per $100,000 of assessed valuation is usually how it's stated.
Okay.
And some of the districts some of the towns went up slightly, and some of them decreased slightly.
In their evaluation?
In the valuation.
Property evaluation.
Yeah.
So if your property evaluation went up, you'd be paying less?
Depending, of course, on where your house falls in, I mean, your individual house goes up, your own taxes would go up. But if the overall assessed valuations of the town goes up, then the dollar taxed for $100,000 of assessed valuation goes down because it's conglomerate.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
This
find
is
out.
an average. Every house could have a different rate. When you do
Right.
your tax bill, I do it every year.
Right.
It doesn't, you say, well, how come mine's a different number than what's in the newspaper? Because they're looking at your house specifically.
Right.
So if all the towns raised uniformly in their average assessment, that's what this is,
Mhm.
then.
That's what I mean, that you get from each town their averages of valuations of property. Okay, and that's what it's based on, okay, so. Okay. Thanks.
And the other thing that's hard is you take the municipal budget, the county budget, and we do our budget on a school year, they
Right.
do theirs on a calendar year, so it's hard to get the number exact until you get your tax bill. And that's why it comes late, because once they get all these numbers, everybody's scrambling to get these numbers, so you get your tax bill in August.
Right.
And it's always late, so it's just very difficult for me to figure out.
So were you referring to why our taxes went up?
No, I'm just, there's the discussion of the valuation of properties in P-PAC, why, you know, they don't match what home sales are compared to.
They're higher or they're lower? The
Lower.
valuations are higher than what people are getting for their houses?
I think
Come to
they're-
Burnsville.
We didn't let kids enroll.
Yeah, I know, the biggest part of our increase is because of enrollment.
Yeah. Sunburn.
Yeah.
I was curious about 8, on page 5, item 8, action resolution 8. And I just wondered what that non-public security aid program is. I've never heard of it.
Non-public security aid is relatively new. I think this is the first year that it's been in place. There are several non-public aid programs, technology, nursing, textbooks, and now there's security aid. And what this simply means is that the state is required to fund all the non-public schools in the district for certain functions, and that is one of them: transportation, nursing, textbooks, security, technology. Chapter 192, 193, which is auxiliary services like PT and OT. So there's a whole slew of things that most of us don't know about, and it doesn't cost the school district any money in that we get that money from the state, and then we have to pay it out to the non-public schools. So we'll just take St. Anne's is the main user in our area. The Far Hills Country Day is another. So we get money.
That's extra work for like.
It is extra work. That's one of the.
Why doesn't the
I don't know.
private school get that job? And
Yes, that would be lovely. Hey, at least we don't have any charter schools yet, because then it gets even worse. There's definitely work involved, and then with the technology, to get even more specific, we have to approve each individual thing that each non-public school purchases, where in all the other non-public aids, you don't have to do that. It's not like you approve them hiring a nurse, you just approve the flow through, so it's a little bizarre, but it's.
But the workload falls upon the public school employees.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I've struggled with item number 1 in finance, the adoption of the school budget. I served on finance, and I'll preface my remarks by saying I will be voting in favor of the adoption of the budget. However, I have some concerns. My one concern is the addition of the director of guidance position. I have asked, and I will say this publicly, I've asked for, in order to add that position, I'm not opposed to adding the position. I asked that can we eliminate another position. We did eliminate, I guess, the position of college career counselor. I'm not sure that was a position that, we have 4 college career counselors in the building. I don't know that and they're called just guidance counselors, that they do that. I just didn't feel the need for the guidance director position. I have no issues with asking administration to roll up their shirt sleeves and, maybe work a little harder. We did. I am very proud, as Mindy and everyone else on this board, of our status and these rankings. I will point out that we did this without a guidance director, so I'm expecting bigger and better things next year with a guidance director. So, having said that, in asking for, can we cut other positions. We've added positions in certain areas. I just feel like we can cut in certain areas. When I asked if we can cut in certain areas, I was told we can't cut anywhere, and I just don't know if that's the case. I think if we look hard enough, we can make some cuts, we can lower the taxes. I am all about the students, I'm all about education. I spent 4 full decades, come June 22nd, it will be 4 complete decades of my life working with kids. I do it every day, and this has nothing to do with providing for students. It's just we need to balance that with the taxpayer, and I've always been about that, and I do believe we can do a better job with that. In addition to the 2% cap, we are going over the 2% cap in a lot of areas, which means we have to cut in other areas when we do that, and I think that's, as time goes on, that's going to become a little bit more dangerous. So I just want to say my piece.
Can I just respond to that? Greg did raise several points during the budget process, and we did look into the areas that you had asked us to do, and we did run the numbers through both 2 committees, personnel and curriculum, and that was where the final decisions were made. So it's not like the administration just said, no, we can't. No, I just want to make it clear, because this is going to be in the public, that we did evaluate, we did our own evaluation, came up with what we were proposing, and then Greg had some very valid questions and asked us to look into a few things, and we did run it through 2 different committees, and the resulting budget is what came out, the outcome of running things through those committees, plus the finance committee.
Plus, we look to the future also
Yes.
in planning for what could be cut in the future.
Right, and look,
With numbers of
Right,
students
exactly.
too, so it's not like it's this year, but it might be next year. You know, we
Right.
also look to the future number-wise and staff-wise, and, you know, so
yes.
we did take that into account. However, and you know I love you, but I do think it is vital that this school has head of guidance, must have head of guidance.
And I'm not
Because you-
disagreeing with that. I think I made that clear. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just felt like
Okay.
we could have had in my opinion, a give and take that was
Okay.
a little bit different.
But we did though, we took the money from the career and the career counselor, college and career counselor, and we also took the stipends that were being paid to the lead counselors. And that's what was combined for the guidance director salary. So I just want to make sure I point that out.
Right, and for the record, I disclosed that. I didn't.
No, I know, I
yeah,
just want to make sure that the public understands.
Right.
You were valid, and you absolutely have the
Okay.
right to ask that, but, and, you know, we did point all of that out, so that it's not like we added a position where we were looking for additional funds. We took those funds and
Right.
applied them to the guidance director position, yes.
The other thing that I would think would be helpful, this week the state Department of Education put out a report card on all the schools, and it's online. If you go to School Board Notes, and you can search by every school, and they rank, it's a huge Excel printout, and they rank us by students to teacher ratio, administrator ratio, and we're not ranked. We're ranked high on a few things you want to be ranked on, but we're not ranked high on like having too many administrators or having too many kids in a class. So look at the rankings in there. It's pretty amazing what our rankings are, and I think that helps. I think a lot of people understand we're running the school pretty damn well. I think, you know. So it helps me see what we're doing, and so if you go to School Board Notes, you can click, or you go to Department of Education. It was in the newspaper this week. You can go there and see it. It's good information. There's a lot of it. Whatever you want, how many kids in a classroom, what the administration ratio is. And they rank us by not our DGIF thing. They rank us by number of kids in the school. So we're in a group between around 2,000, I think it's like 1,500 or something. Jen, you probably know better.
Yeah, it was good.
So we're 69 schools. They're comparing us to 69 other schools. And, you know, so we're not number one on administrators. We're not, at the bottom either. We're kind of in the bottom third, and we're not number one on having the smallest amount of kids in a class. I think we're number 12 on that issue. So there's good stuff in there. So
They ranked the same socioeconomic level, or did they rank that?
This is not on that, it's not on a J and I school, because that's not the way they're doing it now.
Right, they changed that.
They changed that. So this is size of school.
Right, and similar, you know, they're not clear about how they compare us to the other
Right.
schools, but it might be socioeconomic
Right.
and number of economically disadvantaged. You know, there's some categories, and they're trying to look at other schools that are like ours.
Right. But I think it's a good way to understand where our school fits, you know, so.
I just want to say that I
Sure.
think that the community, I hope the community can appreciate these new public rankings, because I feel like we're totally a sleeper. It's completely underrated in public perception. I don't think people know what is going on here, and I mean, I really am very proud of the school system.
Thanks. Me
Any more
too.
comments before we vote? All right, roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yep.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Coombs?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
Next agenda item is the curriculum committee. So that's, do you have anything to report, Nancy?
Yes, of course I do. I was
Okay.
able to attend the last meeting. We met on April 5th, and Michael Catelli was nice enough to come, and we revisited the Latin enrollment. And so for next year, we will not be running a 6th grade Latin class because of due to low enrollment. There was about 11 students who were interested in taking this. As you recall, last year we had some discussion about what we should do with the Latin program. We talked about, a lot of parents came out and said, we want to continue with the program, and we were like, fine, we'll continue to offer the 6th grade Latin program. But the thing about it is that we can't make kids take the class. They choose to sign up for a class, and we were perfectly, willing to keep on, offering that. And we will next year as well too. We will make that, an offer at least for next year as well too. We will make that available to 6th grade students when they're choosing a language. If they want to choose Latin, we have a reasonable amount of kids. I mean, Greg, I think this goes along with your philosophy. This board tries to be cost effective, and things that we can't, there are sometimes you have to, sort of pinch your pennies in a little places either way, and it's like we would have run that class if we would have had a good enrollment for it. And that's usually anywhere, I think probably plus 15, 15 to 20. That's sort of the number we're shooting for and that's across the board. It's not just for Latin or not just for language, but across the, district in our high school classes and in our middle school classes. Of course, a lot of them are larger than that, obviously, but, just for a minimum enrollment. The only time we ever make an exception, and we feel that this is fair to our students, is for a lot of our Latin, upper level classes in Latin 3 and 4. We've had less enrollment in those classes, and I could provide the board with those numbers. So sometimes we are running a class where there may be only 8 kids, but we feel we made a commitment to them. And it's important to go to college and to have 4 years of a language. I don't care what college they're going to. That is a key thing. Just having gone through with a senior college admission, they want to see. They want you to take 4 years of the core subjects: math, science, English, language, history. That's important to our students. And you want to attribute to why our rankings are going up is because we've been trying to emphasize that along with our college, along with our guidance counselors, that we should encourage students to take no matter what kind of college that they're going to go to. Not just all the top colleges, but it's all levels of college. We really want to emphasize that to our students. So again, we make that exception, or we've made an exception of that when it's gone through the committee, where if we have an enrollment of 8 kids, it's not fair to the kid who's taken, 3, say 6 years of Latin to all of a sudden not offer a Latin 4 because, only, the other kids decide to take something else and there's only a small amount of enrollment. So that's when we do make that exception. But generally speaking, we just, in good conscience, it's not cost effective to, to the taxpayers. And it's not, the thing about it is what happens is that you have your biggest enrollment the first year of the language in Latin, Latin, 6th grade Latin. What happens is that, and the statistics, Michael was nice enough to, just really gather all the statistics for us. You keep on seeing more and more drop-off. So by the time you get a senior, you'd be lucky if you had 2 kids, quite honestly, in a class, just by looking at the way the trend has been over the past several years. So it's not that anything that's done, there was no rush to judgment on this. We've been studying this, I don't know, for years. We've been looking at this. And so, but I just want to say to the public too, we did hear what parents wanted to say. So maybe this particular year, the kids didn't really want to take Latin. Maybe we'll have, an enrollment 15 to 20 next year, and we'll be able to, go through with that program. But for this year, we just felt that was not. And those kids, Mike could tell you, work with all those kids and the parents, and just to, to find other placement in the Spanish and in our French program as well too. So, but that's sort of where we ended up with that. The other conversation we had, I remember, was this middle school math?
Just about placement
Yeah,
and
just
general
about placement,
placement,
yeah.
how we place students. What was the third one?
That was it. I think those were the only 2 things we talked about in curriculum. So that's what we did. I don't know. Can I talk now just for 2 minutes?
Make your motion.
No, I don't want to make a motion. I move 1 and 2.
Second.
Now you run to 3. Okay. So now I just wanted to say that, and the reason I think it's important to say this in curriculum may have been more important to do in supplemental matters, but I don't know. I'm just going to say, I don't know, I'm going to be queen for the day and I'm going to do what I want. So I'm going to talk about it in curriculum. But I just want to say that, Donna Kuntz, forwarded her resignation to the board this year, today, and so it's her 3rd year. She would have been up for re-election, but decided to leave a little early due to personal matters. But I just want to say it's been my joy and privilege to work with her. Besides being a great board member and a great leader, she's also been a great and supportive friend to me. We always joke around how we're separated at birth, because honestly, we were both born in August, we're both born in the same year. She was born in Queens, I was born on the west side of Chicago, but somehow we just sort of lived that fantasy life. Donna never has done anything in this district because she wanted someone to say, you're doing a good job, or to get any sort of public recognition, or to have anyone sort of pat her on the back. She was on this board, and it really started back to really sort of the days of the referendum, because as much as the board, and Lou was on the board at that time, and people did a lot of great work and trying to develop the plans and everything, what it needed to do, because it failed for the first time, was to have someone be able to go door to door and convince the people in this community to vote for that. And that was all attributed to Donna Kuntz. She just moved into the community. She said, hey, what do you want me to do? Yeah, I'll go door to door. And we were and everyone was like, what, you're going to go door to door? And she just said that that's what she was going to do. And that's what for as much as the school district, and I totally give credit to the board and the administration for pushing that forward, that referendum, we would not be sitting in this building right now, this little addition that you have here, if it wasn't for her, because she took it upon herself to do that. The other thing that we wanted to say, we talked, and that's sort of how we became friends, because we formed this pack of crazy mothers, and we were like, we're going to pass this because we want this for our kids, we want this for our community. And she became president and really beat, and it wasn't like I say she beat down because she's so persistent, but she really just explained it to the public, and it was a successful passage. And that the community owes her just an enormous amount of gratitude for that. The other thing I just wanted to mention too was just about the rankings in the U.S. News and Report. That doesn't go without people on this board who decided to make that a huge priority. And that was really it was a bunch of people, it's not just seeing that one person, but that was under her leadership. And she decided that we were putting education first, and that's what we did. We did stuff that wasn't always popular. When we got rid of the IB program, it was a wonderful program. It served a lot of students well, but that did not make this district the great district that it was. It was hindering us, not helping us. It was unfortunate that we didn't have the size of a Ridge, or it's a very successful program in Mendham, but it wasn't really right for this district, because guess what? The reason all of our rankings are going up is because we were able to really focus in on that AP program. And that's really, to get our students to take higher level courses, to get our students to apply to more, competitive college. And that was really under, her leadership in curriculum. The thing about her too, and I'll sort of wrap this up because I know I'm sort of starting to babble, but her motto was always, what's best for the students? And you know what? That's what you have to do when you're on the school board. You have to keep, financial consideration, because you have a financial responsibility to the district, but you have to put students first. And it's not just the top students, it's all students. She cares as much about the influx of ELL students that we have today as she did about getting all the kids to take AP classes. And honestly, I just think her leadership has just been outstanding, and I just have more respect for her than I can ever really say to her. So I think the community deserves you a big round of applause. Okay, so we can vote now.
Any comments on curriculum before we vote? Seeing none?
Does anyone have any questions about the land quote? I sort of went through that. Yeah, I hope everyone's okay with that. You know, I think.
Yep. So roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yeah.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Sorry, my voice was kind of low too, because I just, Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
Next agenda item is facilities and operations. Lou?
Yes, we did not have a facilities meeting since our last board meeting. So I would like to,
I know, want to skip 5?
yes, I want to pass, what am I?
You want to
What
move
am I?
motion?
You want to move one?
I want to move. That's the word I was looking for, move. I was so caught up on that.
I know. I think everyone choked up. That's great.
I am,
I love it.
I'd like to move motions 1 through 5.
no, 4.
1 through, no, I want, then we can have discussions, no?
He's got,
1 through 5 and have the discussion?
Okay, but then we have to table it.
Right, I don't,
Would
but
we do that or
I,
not?
No,
Okay,
oh,
whatever you want to do. It's fine.
you don't want to have the discussion on this?
Can we
Or
do
you
it
want-
separate, can we do it separately, because then everybody can just vote on.
I have to stay from
Whatever.
one, I think.
I'm sorry, so I was thinking that if we are not going to move it, we can still discuss it. And
Do you
then
want me to
not
do,
move it.
okay, do you want me to do that as a facility?
Yeah, like a
Report?
report thing, yeah.
Okay.
I just think it would make more
Okay,
sense, because
instead
instead
of
of tabling,
putting
it makes it look like.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna back up, and I'm gonna do a facilities report. We did not have a meeting since our last Board of Ed meeting, but we did at the last board meeting, I did report that we were gonna go out for bids for the media center.
In a
What-
second, you moved it, but we need a second.
I'll second.
Sorry. Okay,
Okay. So now,
you move on, yeah, go ahead, keep going.
you wanna move the motion?
I thought you moved, I thought I heard you say I moved.
I did, but I thought I was gonna back up and give
Oh,
the
okay.
facilities report and
I'm
then.
sorry.
Yeah.
See
been
what
a
you
long
started
day.
dancing, you got us all mixed up here.
You're fine.
I'm
You're
free
fine.
for the day. I get to do what I want.
At our last board meeting, we said we were gonna be going out for the bids for the media center. And if you remember, the timeline for the media center was to have the library completed by September. Okay, we had 10 contractors pick up bid packages. We received 1 bid back, which was it was $200,000 over what we had estimated. But we have $125,000 in there in contingencies for that kind of a thing. Also, we are under budget on the demolition part of it. The question is why we had it for the agenda tonight, and then we have it on the addendum, but I'm asking the board to pull that addendum possibly. We have 2 options. We can approve this, the architect has reviewed this, knows the contractor, and is okay with it. The problem with the bids, we didn't receive more bids, is because of that constricted timeline that we had. And it makes for the prices coming in the way it did, and also not having a lot of other bidders on it. If we rebid this and move our move-in date to October, end of October, maybe the beginning of November, we can rebid this, hopefully to get more contractors to bid on it and get a lower bid price. So that's why I would like to table this and maybe go out for rebidding. So I'd like to open that up for discussion. So it's either we can go with this bid, get in by September, or rebid it and not be in until November.
Is that what our architect is? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is that what our architect is, would recommend, or did you just?
No, that was, after we had the bids, it was a discussion we had.
I understand, financial, I understand, but the problem is that that's in the middle of the school and it's really disruptive to our kids, you know?
Can I add a
Yes.
couple things?
I'd love
Okay,
to.
so, yeah, I mean, originally, my inclination was to try to, you know, suggest that we pass this. And after, first I, you know, talked to Lou about it, and I also mentioned it to Bob. And then I called the architect, and then he said, if you want to know my recommendation, I think you really will be better off, well, actually, first, then I called Scott. And Scott said that it will not be terribly disruptive if we, you know, the way we're gonna phase it in. 'Cause I wanted to get it done, get it over, and move forward, I really did, and I figured we had enough money that we could do it. But the architect thinks that it'll be as much as $400,000 less.
Right, it's a lot of money.
So he said his recommendation was, at that point, he said, honestly, if he was in my shoes, or our shoes, he would hold it and rebid. It doesn't really add that much time to the start time. They'll open bids May 26th. They would award the bid, we would award our bid at the June 1st meeting. So construction would essentially start around the same time, which is June 6th. They'll start preliminaries. But substantial completion would be October 28th. So Scott felt that it's more important, you know, to get this right. And then that leaves, I don't know if Mike Catelli's still here, no, he's gone. But there are a lot of other expensive things in the project that we haven't dealt with. One is the language lab, which is about $88,000. The other is this thing called the Creston system, which is to monitor the 17, I didn't even tell the ethno committee yet. But there's another big expensive item to make all these 17 televisions work together and all, and anyway, that's expensive. So my concern is that it would be foolish, you know, money-wise to, so I kind of like, after speaking to Lou and the architect again, I'm kind of leaning towards agreeing with that.
I mean, it's sort of like when you have your kitchen remodeled. It's going to be ready, you go in the room, it's just putting the last few items on.
Getting the knobs on.
Getting the knobs on, you know.
Yeah, the heavy construction part should be done by September,
But we have to buy.
maybe
Well,
into
the finishing
September.
work.
We got to buy all the tables and the chairs. See,
Right.
that's not in what the referendum was. We got to
Right.
buy all this furniture
Right.
and equipment, so, if we get the most of it done.
I think
Well,
we could
it's a lot of
constantly
money.
have to have another thing to compare that to.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah.
And who knows,
I
it
mean,
may
you
not
wouldn't
be,
get
but.
one, it might not be,
Right.
but you wouldn't do your kitchen like that.
No, I
right?
wouldn't do my
You'd
kitchen.
get at least 3 bids.
And everything that we've done here for the last 5 years, we get 5 or 6 bids, and the disparity between the bids is enormous.
Yeah.
Right.
Why don't
Yeah,
people
so
want
when
to, why
one
do people
came
want
in,
to
I
bid?
was
Kids are
Because
very
the
resilient
timeline is
too.
so
Go
tight.
back out.
The kids are very resilient, it's not gonna,
I agree.
I don't think it's gonna affect them as much as anyone thinks it would.
So it sounds like the board's
You know what, the teachers.
in agreement to.
To table this and go out to bid again.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Everybody agree?
So I'd like to move motions 1 through 4.
Second.
Any discussion on those 4? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiacchino?
Yes?
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
Next is policy, and that's Donna. Do you have anything?
We had a meeting, I guess it was last week, maybe the week before, I was trying to give it some time, but, this is a first reading. I hope everyone had a chance to go through them. Most of them, as the policy committee learned as they got in full thrust, since we have 3 new board members that are sitting on policy along with the crazy person.
It's so fun.
I kept it interesting for them. But a lot of it is legislated, which, as you saw, if you look through them, you know, there's things, you don't have a choice. And the one I think everyone should focus on a little bit, because I just want you to understand that we really did do our due diligence. We did take the handbook, it's the high school graduation policy. We took the student handbook, which is what the kids get, and they read it and they need to know what requirements are there, along with the old policy, and compared it to the new policy. There were some tweaks that we made on the policy, nothing crazy, we just followed the state guidelines. But it is different from what is in there, so it does follow exactly what the state guidelines are. And I just would like you to look at that, just so that you know that it wasn't with haste that we made any of those decisions. Everything was compared to what exists now. So that's the only call that I have on policy. Other than that, it's just first read. Again, questions and comments can come, again, till before second read. So if there is any, feel free to reach out to, it won't be me, but whoever is the policy chair at the time, and have it discussed in policy for the next meeting, if there's any issues.
I have one. When I read the eligibility one, if you go to the very last page, which the pages are not, very last page, it says children of district employees.
Yeah, we don't allow them to come as free tuition. as
Right,
a main
but I
thing.
mean, I thought there were some exceptions.
There used
Only
to
for
be.
people who are grandfathered. No,
Okay,
we-
I just didn't know
But
whether
that's
we
already
needed
done.
to.
There's no more grandfather.
There's no more, okay, I just want to make sure that, because I was looking through stuff this afternoon, and
Yeah.
I thought there was some
Yeah,
grandfather.
there's,
Only
there
those
may
who
be,
are coming.
there may be one or two left.
Okay, but I don't know whether we need to put that in the policy, because if you read that, it says everybody gets a tuition. But I don't know, so.
Oh, it should say no. They're not, they have to pay the tuition.
Right, it says that,
Yeah,
but I'm
it says
saying.
pay the tuition.
You're right, it says, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I don't know whether we have to,
No, because, you know,
okay.
but we could, you know,
Put it in the contract?
just,
What's
it's also
it?
in the
Is it in
contract,
the
it's also in the
contract now?
contract that no tuition,
Right, so.
except for those grandfathered, it's in the
Right.
contract
Right.
as well.
But I was trying to find it in the contract.
Yeah, but you know what, that's a good.
I know it is,
call.
because Kathy, when she goes through it, that's how she
Because we
tells,
double
she
check,
tells,
you know,
she goes
whether
through all
You
of
know
it.
what, in the policy, why don't we just say refer to contract language?
But it's not in the contract, I looked.
It's not in the teacher's
It's
contract.
not?
No.
All right,
All right,
so then
well,
we
we
should
can add
add
it
it,
to policy.
add it to policy.
Yeah,
What
it-
do you
Well,
want
let's
me
make
to-
sure, because Michael has a few of them on his
So
school.
how do you want to go for it?
But he doesn't pay tuition, so you don't have to worry
It
about it.
just really just,
Grandfathered.
for
You
anyone
don't have
who's
to-
been
you
grandfathered
live
in,
in Peapack.
Yeah,
just
so
go
these
to
are
the
worried about
policy
Oh,
and
right,
say
oh,
that you're
yeah.
grandfathered.
Yeah,
in.
it's-
It's in the beginning.
Should read it, it should read the same way.
You are.
I don't know the
One of
place
which is
you were.
Yeah, I was trying
People
to.
used to get free tuition to bring their kid here.
Yeah, no, I know that.
And we stopped it, there's a
Right.
date, I don't remember the year.
2008?
Yeah, I
I was
don't
trying
remember
to
the
find
date,
it. I
but it's
just-
in the
Because
old
Mike,
policy.
when
We
we
have a
started
letter on
school
it.
here, we lived in
Okay.
Long
Right.
Valley.
Right.
We were fine.
Yes.
Anyway, that was
But
just.
no, that's a good catch, that's a great catch. So I moved action item 1. Late.
I'll second that.
Second.
One.
Yeah, right.
You can edit that tape.
So we'll do roll call,
Mr. Baker?
yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Crooms?
Yes.
Okay, next item is personnel.
And that's me.
Mhm.
We had a personnel meeting last week. Everything on this agenda pretty much says it all. So I move action items 1 through 13. There are some on the addendum for those who didn't notice. And we need a second.
Second.
on- There's a typo I noticed on number 5, the date on June 30, 2017.
Yeah, 9/6. 15.
No, it's probably 16 to 17, right? The next year break reading, with Melissa Storage?
16 to 17?
Yeah.
So she got the whole year. Any other comments? So we'll do a roll call?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Yes.
Ms. Getzky? And I'll just, Ms. Getzky, I'll fix whoever, what you need to abstain on, I'll put that in the minutes. Because it was one.
Who's good with this? I'm looking for it.
So the next item is supplementary matters. I think the biggest supplementary matter is Donna, you're leaving, which is, it's going to be hard to fill your shoes. So anyway, so the board will be interviewing candidates sometime in May.
While you're saying that, can I just interrupt you for one really
Sure.
quick second? I'm gonna appeal to the board to make a resolution tonight to accept my resignation so that you guys really can go out and make that happen sooner than later. So that would be my appeal to you guys. But continue.
So I will make a motion to accept Donna's resignation for May 1st with a lot of despair. But we will do it because I know you have other things you like to do, so we'll do that. So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're off the hook.
You didn't say opposed.
We're opposed. Opposed. Anyway, it's going to be hard to fill your shoes. I was kind of lost speechless. I thought you weren't going to do this for another couple of months, so you caught me off guard.
It wasn't intentional.
I know, but it's okay.
In training, we were told that you weren't supposed to take us off guard. So
It
you broke
wasn't
the rules.
intentional. There was some personal things that went on
Right,
that.
and I, but anyway, I just want to make, I'll think of something to say some other time because I have no words to say, but thank you very much, and we will miss you.
It was my pleasure to serve on this board. I do have parting words, just as a person who's a volunteer. I just want to share, as a volunteer and a leader, which all of you are sitting here, the most important thing to remember is that you have to follow the rules. And if there's nothing else that's been my guide in life, you must follow the rules. And that is the one thing that will make all tough decisions easier. It'll make all really hard action easier because you have the rules to rely on. So when people get mad at you, you have a defense. But when you make things up or you cross a line, you put yourself in a situation that you can't remove yourself from. And that's when you become a poor leader. That's when you become a poor model. So my recommendation is follow the rules. And sometimes those rules are really hard to follow because it's human nature to want to help, or it's human nature to think that you can do something outside of the rules. But if you just follow the rules, you'll be a great leader, and I know all of you are those great leaders. It's the simple rule, it's the rule I live by, and be honest and truthful, because if you lie, you have to catch up on your lies, and you have to remember what they are. But if you tell the truth, even when it hurts, and I know I've hurt people with the truth, but you know what? I could put my head on a pillow at night because I didn't lie to them. And in their reflective moments, they can hate me for what I said, but they can't hate me for lying to them. And those are the two things that I would just wish that everybody on the board would act on. And I know it's really hard sometimes when you have to reach out to people who don't follow the rules and tell them that they're not following the rules. It's a very uncomfortable situation, but you need to do that too. And the last thing, just be fair to people. If you say that you're going to do something, follow through. I mean, there's times I've had to tell a board member, I can't put you on a committee now, but I know I'll give you that opportunity once it arises. I don't forget that promise. I go back and I remember to do that because I promised that. Those are the things I just want to share with you guys that I feel helped me be an effective leader. I'm sure I did a lot of things wrong, but never untruthful and never without following the rules. And that's my parting words. I just wish you all the best because honestly, I've loved working with all of you. It's been a great 9 years. And as Nancy pointed out, God, it's really been longer than that. But, and I really kind of forgot half the stuff that I've done since, we were only living here 14 years, and she's right. I think I think I had one foot in the door unpacking boxes and decided to volunteer.
I'll never forget Laura Nuff. When she's like, Laura Nuff, we were, trying to organize the parents and whatever. We were all had little kids and babies trying to get involved with this whole thing. And she's like, and Donna's like, oh, well, I'll just go door to door and get people to vote for this. And she's like, you're going to do what? I mean, it was like we were all just like shocked that you were going to, that you were going to do that.
And don't ever have a pampered chef party because they volunteer you. That's how I got hooked into being the PAC president. But short of that, honestly, I do love this district. I love this community. Right now I just can't commit my time the way I would have in the past, and I'll take a little hiatus and it'll be fine. But just do the right thing. No, just not now. I have a hard time keeping my hands under my seat anyway. But I'll come back. I will do things in the community again, but just not right now.
Thank you
But
for
thank
your
you.
words of wisdom.
So
Thanks for
good luck
helping
to
out
all of you.
these years.
I just want to say thank you to Donna. I don't know if I want to leave here without saying some of my piece. Everything she said was true. She had made promises to me, kept every promise. We have disagreed on occasion, but to me, there should be disagreement. If 10 people feel the exact same way all the time, then we have no need for a Board of Education. We just elect one person and let that person be, the sole decision maker. So we had some, I like to think we had far fewer disagreements than we had agreements, but I believe they were always healthy, and she always treated them as healthy, and always respected my my positions and my right to disagree, and we've had many, many healthy conversations, and I am saddened by her leaving the board, and I wish you the best, and I know you're making the right decision based on your feelings and what you shared, and I truly wish you all the best.
Thank you. And I have just been on the board for a very short time, but it is very clear to me what a strong, dynamic board member you've been. It's very evident, so I really just wanted to say that to you.
I agree.
I'd like to say something too. I've been on the board with Donna for the whole 9 years she's been here, and I've been on the board before that, and I've seen a lot of different board members, and I haven't seen somebody that puts so much heart and soul into what she does and having the best intentions for the students of this district. And I appreciate everything you've done, and we're going to really miss you.
And she did too. Honestly, I just forgot that part of it. But she's always respectful and appreciative of them. She's always a part of negotiations and really, try to be fair. Of course, you're polar opposites trying to go at each other a little bit. But this last negotiation, I think, was a lot of things, all the work that her and Bob did on the stipends and different things. I think there was just a lot of mutual respect, and she always respected the staff and always wanted the best from them. And that's evident by what we were talking about with all our professional development. I'd like a little category for that, because I would be number one at that. We've provided so much to it, and that's out of respect for the teachers. Obviously, it benefits the students, but just the whole thing. And Donna, you were always on the forefront. Whether we come up with all these ideas in curriculum, and you're like, okay, I'll try to work it out in finance. And you really, sort of melded those two, committees together so that we were able, to provide a lot of that stuff, and it's benefited our students. It really has, So.
I would like to say thank you to Donna. I come from Bedminster Township across the way, and it's been really very interesting to see, to sit on two school boards and to learn so much because of that opportunity. I was lucky enough to be placed on the curriculum committee where Nancy presided, but Donna always was sitting at her right side. And it was really an eye-opener to observe that committee and then to participate in what always was really a smart dialogue. And we would meet people from each of the schools, and we deal a lot with the administrators who would give us reports, and it really kept me interested in serving on the school board. And I'd like to think that that was your positive energy bringing really interesting meetings together, and I want to thank you for that.
Donna, you've been on the board since I was a student here. But you can really see the development throughout the years and how far this has come. And it's just walking through the halls, you can see different referendums and all the work and you really put in. And I remember you when you were volunteering for any fundraiser there was in the school. Everyone knew Donna Coons, but it's appreciated. And I thank you for having the pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you.
All right.
Lou, you're not going anywhere.
If we will have any public comments at the very end? Anybody have any public comments?
We're still in supplemental.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I just have a question as to moving forward. What is the plan? Because I'm not sure, given the time frame that we're in, should we wait until the new election? I just feel if we don't do this till May, I don't know if the decision's been made or if we're going to decide that as a board. Should we seek a replacement or should we wait?
You're supposed to find a
this late date?
replacement within 90 days, correct? That's what the law says. I think going back to the rules, I think it's,
So by the end of July, we have to have
we're supposed to try to get a replacement. I mean, it doesn't say you absolutely have to, but you have to do the process. So to say we're not going to do that, it's sort of like what the Supreme Court is right now. Some people, it's an analogy somewhat.
Thank
So.
God I didn't die.
So
Yeah, you intentionally, I guess.
I mean,
That'd
if
be
we
a conversation.
appoint somebody within, then they have to run in November.
I think from a practical perspective and a level playing field,
Right.
we have no meetings in the summer till late August.
Right.
And then the election is 2 months after that.
Well, I think the thing I'm going to ask, I'll ask the superintendent is to check with our council to see what we have to do at this point in time.
That's fair, yeah.
I understand your concern.
Yeah.
Because you have to get, if we pick somebody, they have to get, because the petition has to be in by the end of end of July. So if you pick a person, they'd have to get their name and signature and then get on the ballot. But let's see what our council says.
Whatever the council recommends, that would be fine. I just think we need to do some due diligence and look at.
But it's sort of like what the Supreme Court is now. Should we wait or not? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
it's sort of a similar analogy. You know.
The only difference is my seat is up.
What's that?
So whoever you appoint has to run in November.
Has to run, right.
Plus anybody else who wants to run in
Right.
November. It's not like they're living out a term.
But they wouldn't even be
per se.
able, even if the rule is that even if someone was here to do that, when Jamie has to run
Right,
again,
right.
even though Sue just
That's
got
what I'm saying,
elected, and
yeah.
she has
She
to
would
run
have to run
again.
too, yeah.
Because you can only be until the next election, that's your appointment, and then after that, following the rules, then you have to run for election.
And it seems like there's more people in communication between now and the end of the school year.
Put it on the
Seems
bubble
like-
tomorrow, there'll be plenty of applications.
But anyway, it just seems like it's smart to move quickly
Yeah.
before a big, long summer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think the Supreme Court, a different story. That's, you know,
No,
that's,
I'm
I think,
doing an analogy. I mean, if the law allows,
Right.
you might be able to just let people run. Or we have to appoint and they have to run anyway.
I mean, I don't think it's it's worst case scenario, it's, I get 8-1 instead of 9-1, so.
No, I agree.
Well, I think if we put it out there and see how many people apply, and then if you, you have,
Still lose,
another
right?
candidate,
I think the right thing to do
Well,
is
it's-
to find someone.
That's-
But I feel better.
Yeah, you
It's 8-1
feel
is
better.
better, closer more. They only lose by 7.
But anyway.
They lose by 8.
Yeah.
But we'll check the law. We'll check the law.
And it's also workload, guys, no offense, but and Donna, I mean, she's sort of been carrying a lot of, even though she hasn't been president, I mean, chairs 2 committees, she's on multiple committees, I mean, it sort of would be nice to have another person just to spread the,
Right thing, the right thing.
That's a good way of putting it.
it's true,
Well,
yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
any more supplementary matters? We'll let the public, anybody in the public have any comments before we adjourn? Seeing none,
Something. There was,
I will move to adjourn. Right.
I forget her last name, but her name is Emily something. She's in the softball team, and she just hit 100 home runs. Who is it?
Carolyn Verona.
Caroline
No,
Verona.
Emily. Yeah.
It's
It was,
close.
all right, that was close. It's an amazing feat, like an amazing
Set her home run.
deal.
Get a letter and get invited.
For the blood test.
She, I mean, it was crazy,
Her and Alex
like
Rodriguez.
crazy. She's adorable too. Oh my gosh. The softball team is awesome.
All right.
Little shout out.
Oh, Rick, do you want to mention anything about the intergenerational prom?
The prom is
Oh yes.
next Friday,
Sixth.
May 6th. I don't know if invitations have gone out. Cheryl Mataluna is in charge of all the invitations. Tracy O'Neill is actually doing all the running of the prom this year.
Zoe?
Pardon me?
Zoe?
It is next Friday. Everyone is invited. I thought invitations did go out, but everyone is invited. There is dinner provided. It's a great experience. As Franny attested to last year, we appreciate
It's my
Franny's.
second favorite, yes, my second
Second
favorite.
favorite. I'll live with that. But again, it's Friday. It begins at 6 o'clock, and it's worthwhile to come and see that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And you've been running that for a few years, right?
I have been. Tracy O'Neill is now the parent running that, and Cheryl Mataluna is in charge of the invitations and all that. So, and then Lisa Camuto is the high school key club advisor who's running it through the high school. So,
It's very nice, very,
Yeah.
very nice.
Can you bring
It is, I love
Okay.
that event. I know
I
you're
will
making
move
fun of
to
me, but I
adjourn.
like it, it's really fun.
I will move to
Second.
adjourn. Second, all in
All right.
favor?
Aye.
Can you bring a date?